All right, I think I found a trade. AMD had some, I guess, some bad news. Today's FOMC day. I don't think things are going to be going up ridiculous today. Everything's waiting, it looks like. Anyway, let's look at AMD here. AMD gap down on a daily chart. It's got a bounce on the 20, so I need to be very careful. My stop's in place. The hourly, it fell below the 100 moving average, tested it, and it's kind of holding its range here. I don't know if it's going to go back over the high. My bet is that it does not go back up over the high. The first 5-minute range was broken. My first 5-minute range was broken. It went down. It came back up. That's where I shorted. My stop's at the high of the day. My first target's down here. This is going to be my play. I'm going to let it play out, and we'll see what happens with AMD here. Okay, it looks like it's getting scary on me, coming all the way back up to the highs here. I got my stop at the higher range of it. We'll see what happens. I like that I like the trade setup. I think it's well thought out. You know, the daily gap down, pushing below the 100. It's bouncing on. I said I had to be careful with it bouncing on that 20 right there. So that was a kind of a warning sign. Maybe it wasn't a perfect trade setup because that was in the way. It's an A setup. It may not be an A plus setup, but if it stops me out, and it did, it stopped me out. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I'd probably try to take that again, and maybe take more caution with the fact that it is bouncing off a 20 moving average, or looks close to a 20 moving average. That could have been a problem. Consolidation over here also. So maybe this wasn't even an A setup. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's more like a B setup. And then again, it could actually, it could just violate a little bit and stay in this range all day long. This might be a good place to reshort the thing. See if it goes back over. It might have just ticked over. Sometimes that's what happens. They just tick over the top of the 5-minute range, and they don't get higher than that, and it stays in that range. We'll see what happens. I'll keep analyzing it. Let's try to find one more trade. Okay, this will be my second trade setup. I'm going to try to short Google. Google, same thing, had some bad news or something, and it's pushing below the 200 moving average. It doesn't have the same moving average in the way on the daily chart. It's got a ways to go down for this pintail here. And we've got pretty moving averages are all going in the same direction. We got consolidation after it breaks out of the 5-minute range, consolidation, and it looks like it wants to push down. So I entered short here with my stop pretty far up at the high of the day. It's probably too high. I might be okay with putting my stop above these moving averages. Let's take a look at this area. Yeah, I could. Now my target's got to be down at about 140.62, so it's got to have a $3 drop on this thing. Once it gets into the bottom third of it, I will start to lower my stop though, and start bringing it back down into the closer to the break-even point. But it's got to make a little bit make a move here. So Google also broke below the pre-market levels. This is where the pre-market was bouncing up, and it broke below that, so that's a good sign too. Here's the pre-market levels, and it consolidated and pushed below that, so that's a pretty good sign. Hopefully it will keep going down. I wish I didn't have my stop loss so high, and my target wouldn't be so far away. Let's take a look at 140.62 on the daily. Let's see where that's at. Maybe it's down in that pintail. Oh yeah, it can come down. Well, it's just about at the next moving average, the 50 moving average, and the pintail here is right about where my target is. Well, will it go down that far after a big gap? I don't really know. It's possible I should have waited for it to come back up higher. It's also possible to add to this position once it comes up if I really believe in it. So I'll have to see how things develop. Okay, I'm trying to add to my position at 62% pullback here, and I got a stop loss right over the top of that. It put in a little doji candle. It started to turn red, so I jumped in a real tight stop loss. This is acceptable in my Fibonacci trading, and it's reasonable. It's not out of control. It's not adding to a losing position. I'll get out of it immediately if it violates this area. Here's another test of that area in a red candle. Let's see if it keeps going down here. Hopefully it will, and then we can have a better average in price. Even though averaging in your price is not good if you're past your stop loss, your stop limit, and you keep adding to a position. right? And you're getting bigger and bigger losses. But if you're adding to a position as part of a plan and you haven't broken your stop loss yet, that's all reasonable. It's all very, very reasonable. So that's what I'm doing right now. Let's see what happens. Okay, I definitely have to keep my orders in place, and controlling your emotions is one of the hardest things. Yesterday, I lost control, and then even if I have two losses back to back today, I have to show a measure of control and take the losses. Part of day trading is taking the losses like a man. You cannot really avoid it, and when it happens, it's got to be the kind of thing that is graciously and professionally handled. So let's see what happens here. I got everything's in place. It's just indecisive right now. It's come all the way back up to a 50-60% retracement, and it's just not making its mind up. I got a stop loss on what I added right above this area on what I added, and I kept my original stop loss at the top of the day for the very first entry. The price has been right here. I got my exit order for the one I added right here for a 2-to-1 at break even. All it's got to do is come down here a little bit, and we'll get out of half of our position for break even, and I'll be at a better price for the remaining part. So, and no matter what happens, win or lose on the whole entire thing, I'm done trading for the day. 2 losses back to back, and that's it for me at the end of the month. And I'm going to consider it a very successful and learning day. Okay, well, fortunately, thank God, it came down, and we got out of that ad for a break even. The purpose of that was to take some losses off the table because we entered in down here. 50% retracement, add, break even on it, and let the other part run. Now we're in profit territory, and we're not even down where we originally got in. So let's see how this works out. Hopefully it'll work out for us. All right, I think it's prudent and fair to pull my stop loss down now. So we're going to put my stop loss at the point of this pivot here. That way I can reduce my risk. All right, let's catch up where we're at with our Google trade here. We basically are on break even. Not exactly sure if it's going to go lower. I think the day we're trading on the FOMC news, it's already gapped down. It's already at a pretty average true range for daily candles. I just think that I probably didn't take the best trade risk reward, and the reward is so far out from the risk. I've reduced my risk all the way down to break even now. So this trade will be a break even trade. If it decides to push up here, looks like it wants to try to make a bullish move. It's over the 8, 20, and 50 for the first time since it crashed up here at 50% retracement. So we added to our position 50% retracement, and we broke even on that, and now we'll break even on the next part. If it pushes back up to that, I'll have to reevaluate this trade and see if there's a better opportunity. Maybe if it comes back up higher, it just may go sideways because of the day, the FOMC announcement today, and it just may just sit here. So I'm going to put it on break even. If it goes down, great. If it doesn't, then we'll be okay on break even. Okay, I got stopped out for break even, and it just went down. Perhaps I got impatient with it, maybe. I could have used this pivot here where I kept lowering my stop from way up here, kept lowering it to structure. And I thought this structure was the next, the pintails and stuff. So I had it right above. I had to put it on break even because it was above this structure, but it went right up to it and created a higher structure, which is still lower than this area. So this area was a better choice. Anyway, we're break even on it. We're out of it. And that's the end of the Google trade.